Well, hi, everyone. It's great to be back here in the ATL. Go Hawks, by the way. You guys are looking really good.
Well, not the last game. But we're doing okay.
We're taking it as a whole. We're taking it as a whole. You're headed to New York tomorrow night for NBA Cup, so good luck in the world's most famous arena. So I'm sure everyone in this audience can appreciate, and I said this as we were walking out, it's not intimidating at all to be interviewing Van Jones. Not at all. No, not, I don't have any trepidation about that whatsoever. In fact, I said, you can feel free to ask questions too, if you want. So the future of opportunity, small topic. We're going to solve everything here. It's so interesting to have the two of you. You are both public figures in different ways. Tony, you were not a public figure, and then you bought a basketball team, and all of a sudden everybody knows who you are, especially around here. Van, you've had such an interesting career working inside the government, outside the government, in the nonprofit world, in the for-profit world, commentating, et cetera. I want to talk about a number of different things over the course of this conversation, but I want to start with that sort of public-private bridge. Sometimes it's a broken bridge. How do we solve that? How do we get these two sides, and if they are two sides, to work together effectively? This is what it feels like you spend a lot of your time thinking about, Van.
Well, I just have to tell you a little bit about my trajectory and what I'm learning along the way. I come out of the public sector. I got a chance to be Obama's green jobs czar. I've worked successfully with the Bush administration, the Trump administration as an advocate, getting federal legislation done on a bipartisan basis. Went to law school. And the business world to me has been completely bizarre. It's taken me a long time to realize that it's almost the opposite of, like for instance for us, we focus a lot on values, right? Fairness and inclusion, like values. Business focuses on value, right? What you bringing, and is it worth anything? And that's not how we talk or think. And so I also think that for black folks, the imagination of black progress is very much about the public sector. It was a march on Washington. Right? It wasn't a march on Wall Street, right? It's Barack Obama, it's Thurgood Marshall, it's a lot of politics. You go to any black barbershop, it's smarter on politics than any PhD program at the Ivy League. And yet, that's just a very small part of power. Washington, D.C., the democracy, wonderful. But you can get on a train and go up to Wall Street and hit Wall Street, go up to New York City, hit Wall Street. That's big money. You don't see a lot of African Americans there. Hop on a plane, fly over to Silicon Valley, and you land there with the big technology companies. Not a lot of black folks there. Hop on another plane, go down to Hollywood. We're the stars, we don't own the studios. And so there are four corners of power: DC for politics, Wall Street for finance, Silicon Valley for technology, Hollywood for media, and we don't really have power positions in many of those places. We do in politics, but no place else. And so this bridge is important. Yeah. I think we need a different imagination now about what black success looks like. And the private sector has to be much more centered, and the public sector needs to, those of us who are in politics and policy, should be trying to help business success, not substitute for it with programs or that kind of stuff, but really, what do our businesses need from a policy point of view, and prioritize that. And I think that's going to be a big shift over the next decade in terms of even how we imagine black success.
So Tony, come on in here, because Van, not surprisingly, gives you a really good setup, I think, for a lot of the work you're doing here in Atlanta. I'm a hometown boy here. I grew up here, started my career working for the Atlanta Business Chronicle and covered the Olympics for the AJC. I love Atlanta. And it's interesting, I've known you for a number of years. You love Atlanta. You bought this team, and I'm not sure you knew what you were getting into in a lot of different ways. But I think one of the things you didn't fully understand, if I may be so bold, is what Atlanta was as a community, and sort of, you talk about opportunity. what the potential was to unlock and to also start to attack some problems that are very important to you and some challenges that are very important to you. Talk about some of the work you've done, because you are something of a bridge now, because I would argue a sports team is a public asset. At least a lot of people in this room feel like they can tell you what you should do with that team.
And did.
And have, and do all the time, and will more. But in all seriousness, you have talked about the idea that this puts you in a position where you can affect the conversation and maybe be a bridge builder between the public and private sectors.
Well, again, looking at myself as a bridge builder, I look at myself really as staying in my lane of what I understand in the private sector. And the more time I spend with Van, and I've known Van a while, he does understand the public sector in the true sense, not just government, but also being a public person and having a voice, and yet understanding the private sector. For me, it's really all about the private sector, and where I never relied on, I never had a high degree of confidence in what the public sector could do for the community, for the government, for the individual, for any community. I really do look at the private sector, particularly people that work in the private sector, in an effort to make the world a better place. And some people think that's crazy. That's just counterintuitive. And it's not. If you own a basketball team, hopefully anywhere, but certainly in the great city of Atlanta, Georgia, you're a member, you're part of the community. And the idea that we're investing in black entrepreneurship and K-12 education, and if you will, all sorts of local businesses to be a better member of the community, that's what we're supposed to be doing, I would argue. I think to say that we have 50 acres in downtown Atlanta, many people used to call it the Gulch. Hopefully we'll start referring to it as Centennial Yards. You're gonna see 6-7 million square feet built downtown Atlanta that has 30-35% minority contractors, that has 20% affordable housing, that has and will transform downtown Atlanta so that it has as good a downtown as Metro Atlanta has been. So yes, but even in my day job, I'm the chairman of a large public investment firm called Ares Management, and we haven't had enough young people of color in our industry. And we created something called Alt Finance Corp. Again, this is a private sector initiative. We went to a group of black colleges. We brought curriculum, mentorship, hiring. We got 3 firms, 2 in addition to Ares, Oak Tree Capital and Apollo Management. And we funded a 10-year, $90 million commitment to bringing more people of color into our industry so that they have a better chance of succeeding in that industry. But thank you. Again, I don't mean to, all I'm saying is, if many of us that stay in our lane, I don't have the voice that Van has, certainly, but what I do have is an ability to impact businesses to actually be better members of the community. And I would argue more and more companies should try to think that way. I think it's better for their business. The vast majority of our employees would agree with me, I promise you, at the Atlanta Hawks, at Ares, at Centennial Yards.
And so, Van, hearing something like that, which is at least an attempt to, you talked about the 4 corners, to, have some impact on Wall Street. And we're going to talk a little bit about education in a few minutes. But just picking up on what Tony was saying, how do you match policy to those sorts of efforts? I mean, there's a policy piece, obviously, to Centennial Yards because you're working with the city of Atlanta, et cetera. But how do you, what is the right way for this room of change makers and ambitious people who want to see change to use a term that Tony is familiar with, leverage what he's doing in the private sector to really make this successful?
Well, look, first of all, you're not going to have many people like him around. I just want to be real honest now. This guy is a hero. He's now going against the grain. He's going against the wind. He's still talking about opportunity. He's still talking about diversity. And if he looks to his left and his right, he's by himself as a bunch of people who look like him are running the other direction. And so we need to talk about why that is. And look, we're all friends here, and I want to just acknowledge that it's still the case. You got to be not 2 times, not 5 times, 10 times better often to get half the opportunity. And so, look, that is, anybody who wants to argue about that, meet me outside. But,
Assuming they're smaller.
yeah. in which case they can meet Boris outside. But guys, we got a problem. We've got a problem. The DEI is under attack, and as much as we want to blame folks who don't like us, maybe we don't like them for it, there's something we need to start looking at here. We wanted the tape 4 years ago in the Black Lives Matter moment. You had 20 million white people marching in a pandemic for African American access. 20 million, 30 million. Dr. King never had a summer where he had 200,000 white people marching. This was a massive breakthrough. In fact, and I don't mean this in a negative way, but you could argue, if you were Spock, if you were from Mars, you would say, at its height, Black Lives Matter was the biggest white movement for racial justice in the history of the country. I mean, that would be an honest assessment. And yet, 4 years later, we're facing this huge backlash. I think we overestimated the capacity of a lot of everyday white folks to hear our critique of them. I'm going to say it again. I think leadership is trying to hold together these coalitions, and what I think is the everyday average white person, white guy, I'm 55, 56, a 56-year-old white guy, hearing that he needs to check his privilege. I think that may have been harder for him than we knew. I want to offend you a little bit, but it's just in the name of us trying to solve some problems here. I think there was a better way for us to frame this. Possibly. Possibly. I think rather than calling somebody out, here's how I think we sound. Here's how I think we sound. You suck. You suck. You are a racist and a sexist and a bigot. Now, help me. I don't know if anybody polled this or did a focus group. That may not be as persuasive as we initially thought. Okay? You suck, vote for me. You suck, hate me. Just may not be as effective, it turns out, as we might have thought. What if we had said the opposite? What if we had said, the problem I have with you, Mr. White Man, is that you don't have enough money. You don't have enough partnerships. You don't have enough contracts. You don't have enough friends. Your children don't think you are cool enough. I want you to make more money. I want you to have more contracts. I want you to be able to go anywhere on planet Earth and do good business and come home and feed your family and have your kids think that you are awesome. And the way for you to do that is learn how to expand your skill set now to work with even more people. I'm trying to empower you to be awesome. You're awesome already, but you got some shortcomings we want to fix so you'll be more awesome. I don't know if just that might have left the door open a little bit longer. And to the extent that there are some people who are feeling very constipated right now, I'm going to try not to smack Van Jones in the hall. We have Andrew Young here. And part of the genius of an Andrew Young and the genius of a Dr. Martin Luther King is that they figured out a way to hold on to our humanity and defend our humanity and somehow not call people out, but call them up. Somehow, not just call people out, but call them in. And I think that's a leadership challenge now. I just want to go one more step. I'm risking my life. I'm going to go one more step. I actually talked to MAGA groups. Watch for projectiles. No projectiles. I didn't say conservative. I didn't say Republican. I said MAGA groups. And I have found a way, because why? Because I work on criminal justice, as you know, trying to get people out of prison, as you know, and most of our people are locked up in red states and purple states. Not that many black folk locked up in Oregon. Black people are locked up in Mississippi, Louisiana, Texas, Tennessee, Georgia. So I have to talk to not just Republicans, but MAGA to be successful. And here's what I've been able to say. I never lied to them. You want to hear my speech? Very short speech. I say my name is Van Jones. I'm a black activist. I used to work for Barack Obama, and now I'm on CNN, okay? So 3 strikes, I'm out. We don't have to lie to each other. I don't have to lie to you. You don't have to lie to me. You know where I'm coming from. I know where you're coming from. And based on that, you might think I'm mad at you. Based on my record, my reputation, my resume, you might think I'm mad at you. And you would be correct. But not for the reason that you think. I'm mad at you because I need you. I'm mad at you because I cannot have the country I want without you. I'm mad at you because you're some of the best people in this country. Some of you are veterans like my father. Some of you are union members like my mother. And yet I could put you in a car right now and show you in 20 minutes American children going to bed hungry. And where are you guys? I can show you American children going to bed hungry. American children who've never seen their father because their dad is dead or in a prison doing the same drugs your kids are doing right now in college. And where are you guys? Stay in your party. Don't come in my party. We got enough problems. You stay in your party. You fix your party, I'll fix mine. But what are we going to do about these damn kids? And how can we help these damn kids? These kids need you. They need your values, and you need them. They're amazing. They're amazing. You talk about our children, you don't talk to them. You talk about our children, but you don't talk to them. Stay in your party, but I'm not going to leave here till we figure out a way to help these damn kids. And I'm going to tell you, I've had grown white men with MAGA hats on, grown white men with NRA t-shirts on, come up to me, hug me, crying. How can I help? Hand me American flags from their families. Take this with you. Let those kids know we care. So I'm not saying that we don't have differences, but I think that there may be a way for us to accept this breakdown and turn it into a breakthrough, get back to Dr. King, get back to Ella Jo Baker, get back to Fannie Lou Hamer, get back to Andrew Young, and get these people called up and in and move on with our agenda.
Yeah, but
how do you see it?
So, Van, I'm not here to represent, I think it was the 56-year-old white guy, because I'm 64. So I'm not going to represent him, but I am going to suggest when you describe, I don't mean to sound cavalier about it because it's such an important topic, but maybe we don't focus as much. Either side, either MAGA, Democrat, we don't focus as much on the acronym, but focus maybe a little more on the substance.
Tell me more.
Getting every company in America to which I think you were touching on, but be more graphic. Every company in America should make the argument that being more diverse in their employee base, that being more diverse in their customer base, being more diverse in their supplier base, that's just good business.
Good business. Good business.
All right, so you get so caught up in the acronym discussion and fight And yeah, they're going to be folks. I don't want to go near acronyms. Acronyms don't generally do that much for people. But making real change in corporate America is to highlight what's good business. And committing, listen, sorry, but our firm, as an example, believes a more diverse customer base and a more diverse employee base is better for our company. More vision, more view.
Look,
That's just better business, and that's going to have an impact on corporate America over time.
Yeah.
Maybe not overnight, maybe not as quickly as certain communities and certain individuals want it to, but it will have a lasting change when the community realizes what's good for their business, if you're going after the private sector, that is.
Well, I mean, look, you know more about it than anybody being a billionaire. What? John's mad because I said $8 billion and didn't say $12 billion. So accuracy.
You got to, instead of the word billionaire, people should use the word job creator.
Job creator.
Or entrepreneur.
Oh yeah, we saw it last night. Exactly. So, but
it is what it is.
It is. But I do think I learn from you every day. I learn from John. I learn from others. I've been the guy banging. The reason I hope what I'm saying makes sense. I was the guy banging on the drum that I'm now saying we should put away. I was banging on the values. You should do this because of what happened to my people. You should do this because, and I think what you're saying is, just make the business case.
Yeah.
And you know, John Hope Bryant wrote this thing I think everybody should keep in their pocket. I keep it in my pocket, the business plan for America. John Hope Bryant's the only person I've ever met who can make the business case for inclusion and diversity, and nobody on the left or right gets mad. So we do have a way forward. We do have a way forward.
I agree.
And so to that extent, I mean, we only have a few minutes left. I don't want to end this conversation without talking about the education piece. You started to talk about it a bit, Van, and I wish we had time, because one of the questions I really wanted to ask you was sort of how you found your way to some of the work you're doing now. And maybe you can answer that in the context of the educational piece, because I know it's something that you guys both think a lot about. With Dream Machine, you're working on that specifically. Van, I think there's some overlap between Dream Machine even and alt finance in terms of the opportunity piece, which is the sort of convening factor here. So talk to us just a little bit about how the education piece helps get us there faster.
Well, I mean, when you say education, I think a lot of times people automatically think about K through 12, college, et cetera, et cetera. Dream Machine, we're focused on different kind of education. We think that what's happening with AI is something that people need to get educated on immediately. Not in 3 years, 3 years, I mean over Christmas break, okay? Over Christmas break. People need to start to lean in on that. And by the way, because I won't be able to be here tomorrow, let me just say, self-education is the best education. Self-education is the best education. I'm gonna give you 3 books on AI that if you don't read over the Christmas break, you will already be losing in 2025. One is automate your busy work. Automate your busy work. You don't have to hire another employee. You could maybe program an agent and save money. Number 2, the future is faster than you think. The future is faster than you think. And lastly, The Coming Wave by my brother Mustafa. Automate your busy work, the future is faster than you think, and the coming wave. The reason I say that is because we are running a campaign at a Dream Machine called Make Wakanda Real. Make Wakanda real. All this new technology that y'all are supposed to be scared of, that's not a hand grenade, that's a jetpack if you pick it up and use it. And I think we have more opportunity to do more good in a shorter period of time with fewer resources now because of technology than we ever have. But we're being told to be afraid of something while everybody else is being told to embrace it. Do not be afraid of AI, use it. We love to be a part of supporting you. We're working with John Hope Bryant on his AI Ethics Council that he is doing with Sam Altman, as he says, the Steve Jobs of the modern age. Sam Altman is working hand in hand with John Hope Bryant to make sure that we can make Wakanda real.
And so, Tony, I'd want to give you the last couple minutes here. You know, this is an audience, and I've learned this, and I'm so grateful to be a part of this thanks to John. You know, this is a room of doers. This is a room of people who are inspired, or are here to be inspired, but also here to be given some help in terms of where to go, what to do, where to place their energies. You've done some of that. What would your advice to this room be as you think about the various projects you're undertaking to help create the future of opportunity?
Well, embracing technology, of course, is high on that list, and I think that's pretty obvious. But as John often likes to highlight, it's not black or white; it's green. And you know, reaffirming yourself to a career, to something that you are committed to. By the way, just to add to the education discussion, think about it. There are so many of these elite, so-called elite colleges that not only have permitted hate on campus, but they have also highlighted their greatness is that 2%, 3% of those that apply get in. There are large, fantastic state universities that have actually highlighted what they specialize in is making sure that they educate the kids based on the jobs of the future. So we have to use education to better yourself in your post-education years. And again, we get so caught up in the problems of certain Ivy League colleges. As far as I'm concerned, they've created their own mess. But there are so many large state universities, the Arizona States of the world. People should do their homework. These are schools trying to identify the jobs of the future and make sure that they're educating in much larger numbers kids for the future. This is how an economy is supposed to work. So if people are talking about, and most everyone here, you try to better yourself, it means you want to be really good at something and focus on the future. Embracing technology is one. In my particular area, I would say that capital markets and access to capital, combining with extraordinary technology, is what has separated this economy from the rest of the world. And we should benefit from that, and will over the next generation.
Last word.
Look, I just wanted to say a couple of words about Tony Ressler, and I see John Hope Bryant might be trying to beat me to the punch, but I'll do the alley-oop for you, sir.
You ready to dunk? He's tossing it up for you.
You know, he mentioned the hate on some of these campuses, and we all can have different points of view about the current events, but I think it's important to notice. Tony Ressler has a Jewish background. And so many of the other people who have been mentors and sponsors and helpers and lenders and people who have been helpful also have a Jewish background. And one of the other things that we're doing with Dream Machine is that we're working to find the ways to bring that Black-Jewish alliance back together. You know, Andrew Young, Dr. King, they found ways to have blacks and Jews fighting together for justice, fighting together for opportunity. And that started to fall away. And that's not good for Jewish folks, it's not good for black folks, it's really not good for the world. And so I just want to underscore that the next 100 years, we talk a lot about black history, and I love black history. But even Andrew Young at this point would probably say he turned in about 4 Black History Months for one Black Future weekend. There's a future that's calling to us, and we need more friends and fewer enemies as black folks. Jewish folks need more friends and fewer enemies as Jewish folks. It would be crazy for us to continue being enemies of each other. I appreciate your friendship, brother, and let's stay together. Let's stay together.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.